Classification, objectives, purpose, and uses. According to fossil evidence, life on Earth is speculated to have begun roughly 3.7 million years ago. Today, the Earth is home to countless species ranging from microscopic microbes to blue whales. The diversity of life is so vast that there are many species yet to be discovered. However, we do need system to classify the systems, organisms that we So, the diversity of life is so vast that there are many species yet to be discovered. Whenever we do need a system to classify the organisms that we do know about, due to the fact that the same organism is given different names according to the locations, though all are biologically the same. Hence, the idea of biological classification was put forward. Biological classification is a scientific procedure of arranging the organisms in a hierarchical series of groups and subgroups on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities. The primary function of classification is to construct groups about which one can make inclusive inductive generalization. Classification is not static but keeps changing as new species are added. Purpose of classification. A classification or arrangement of any sort cannot be handled without reference to the purpose of which it is being made. If an arrangement based on everything known about a particular class of objects is needed, objects are grouped according to easily observed and described characteristics. If the purpose of classification is to provide information unknown to the user but relative to something the name of which is known, an alphabetical arrangement may be best. Classification is used in biology for two totally different purposes, namely identifying and making natural groups. The specimen or a group of similar specimens must be compared with the descriptions of what is already known. This type of classification, called a key, provides a briefly and reliably as possibly the most obvious characteristic useful in identification. Very often, they are set out as a discontinuous key with opposing pairs of characters. The butterflies of a region, for example, might first be separated into those with a lot of white on the wings and those with very little. Then each group could be subdivided on the basis of their characters. One disadvantage of such classification is that a mistake may produce a ridiculous answer since the groups under each division need have nothing in common but the chosen character. In addition, if the group being keyed is large or given to great variation, the key may be extremely complex and may rely on characters difficult to evaluate. In order to avoid such mistakes, it is necessary to consider many characters of the organism, anatomy, as well as the features of the various stages in the life cycle. Little is known about many of the vast variety of living things, so the first objective is identification for proper classification. A natural classification has advantages in that it groups together forms that seem fundamentally to be related. This provides concision and a certain amount of prediction is also possible. A new form with a few characters similar to those of natural group probably has other similar characters. So the purpose of biological classification has progressed through artificial to key classification to a natural classification. It has also been realized that division into sharply separated groups often is not possible as it sometimes obscures actual relationships. So, objectives of classification to identify and describe all the possible types of species, to arrange the species in various categories on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities, to help in easy identification of organisms, to make study of organisms very convenient, to develop a truly natural or phylogenetic system, which could include and indicate origin and evolution of the species, to show relationship among various groups of organisms, to show evolutionary trends of different group of organisms, to help interpreting the fossil records. Then uses of classification. Classification system improve our ability to explain relationships among things. Classification help in identifying living organisms into their correct groups for reference. Classification helps avoiding cues and confusion in dealing with animals as it arranges the information on organisms in an orderly manner. Classification brings together living organisms with similar characteristics together but separates those with different features. Taxonomic systems provide relatively stable, unique, and unequivocal names for organisms. It makes the study of such a wide variety of organisms easy. It projects before us a good picture of all life forms at a glance. It helps us understand the interrelationship among different groups of organisms. It serves as a base for the development of other biological sciences such as biogeography, etc. Various fields of applied biology such as agriculture, public health, and environmental biology depend on classification on pests, disease vectors, pathogens, and components of an ecosystem. So, objectives, once again, we are reading to identify and describe all the possible types of species, to arrange the species in various categories on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities, to help in easy identification of organisms, to make study of organisms very convenient, to develop a truly natural or phylogenetic system which should indicate origin and evolution of the species, to show relationship among various groups of organisms, to show evolutionary trends of different groups of organisms, to help in interpreting fossil records.